Alright guys, I'm finally to the point where I can do a full pantry tour. I have spent the last couple of nights organizing our freezers, making sure I had everything good to go, organizing the shelves so they looked all nice and I know where everything is. So tonight I want to take you through our full food storage system as of right now, 2025, year 3 of Homestead things here on this property, and just show you guys what we've got going on. And just to remind you before we start, you do not have to grow everything you preserve. We get a ton of our produce from our local salvage grocery store and local farm stores, and having that food on our shelves feels just as good as having the food we grew. My whole food preservation philosophy is to try and preserve things in the simplest way possible, the simplest form possible, so that they're the most versatile later. I am not going to do recipes that we don't eat on a regular basis unless I'm trying something new. I'll do it in a small batch, but there are a lot of common canning recipes that you're not going to see here because we just don't eat that kind of stuff. I like to do things in a way that I know we're going to eat them. So instead of fancy recipes or full jarred meals, I like to stick with things like tomatoes, broth, sauces, fruits, just like the simplest form so that they are very versatile and can be used in a lot of different ways. Okay, so these two shelves are kind of the heart of our canned pantry at the moment. This is where everything I've preserved fresh this year lives. We have more upstairs that I'm going to show you later from last year that needs to get used up still, that we're still working through. But like I said, this is a mixture of homegrown, local, and from the salvage store. Because sometimes they'll have cases of things like corn or fruit or potatoes that aren't quality enough for the stores to sell. But I love buying things there because it not only is super cheap, buying and preserving that food reduces food waste on a greater scale, and I think that's super cool. So I'll try and point out what things are from the salvage store throughout the freezers and all of our canned goods and whatnot too. And honestly, doing it this way gives me more money towards my canning jar fund because I save so much money doing it like that. Okay, I'm gonna go through everything on these shelves, probably sort of rapid fire. I'm gonna do a video soon where I do a full count, breakdown, cost breakdown, every single thing that I canned this year, see if we saved money, even like buying garden supplies in jars versus like how much all of this stuff would have cost. So that will be out soon, probably in the next few weeks. I have one from a couple of years ago if you want to check that out. I'm excited to do that with you guys soon. To start off with, the whole top shelf up here, all of these jars and all of these jars are just plain old tomato sauce. And it's not seasoned or anything, it's just plain tomato sauce. I can use it in all of the things, all of the different pastas and soups and chilies and whatever I may need that for. I love having this plain. I can turn it into more barbecue sauce if I need it. One of my favorite things to preserve. Then I have ketchup, which is a new thing for me. I made this for the first time this year. Best ketchup I've ever tasted. I told Taylor that we have to use up our store-bought ketchup before we can crack open these jars. And we had tasted one of the jars. We left it out to be able to taste test it and make sure we liked it. And we decided, after having to go back to the store-bought ketchup after that, that we didn't like the store-bought ketchup anymore. It tasted bad, so we got rid of that and we are solely using this recipe from now on. Then we have pizza sauce. This is a lightly seasoned, heavily basiled and garliced pizza sauce. Huge fan of that. I don't have a recipe here for that. I don't know how I'm going to recreate that next year. I just went rogue with it and it's delicious. Then we have approximately 1 million diced tomatoes. We use those a lot. I have them in 2 different sizes because depending on the recipe, if I just want salsa or adding it to guacamole, I'll use a little jar. If we're doing something else, I can't think of any examples right now, but sometimes we use big jars too. We use a lot of tomato soup. We will add some cream to this, heat it up on the stove, have it with grilled cheese or with some small pasta, and we will go through one of these jars a night. We don't often have grilled cheese for 3 nights in a row like our other meals, so I like doing small jars of these because we can just split it in half and it works well for one night meals. All of that is tomato soup. Then all of this is 2 different kinds of barbecue sauce. I think I walked through me making this in a recent video. We have Sweet Baby Tay's, which is our take on Sweet Baby Ray's honey barbecue, and BBQ, which is our take on just like the really smoky stubs. It's a little less sweet, more smoky. I tried to do enough of that for 2 years, just like I tried to do enough of the tomato sauce and diced tomatoes. Then we have some salsa. This is just plain old tomato salsa. We use that on nachos or just snacking with chips or with tacos sometimes. I mix it into like our taco mixes when I'm cooking like ground beef or whatever meat we're having with tacos. Oh, this is more tomato soup. This lower shelf is more barbecue sauce. There's a lot of barbecue sauce. We use barbecue sauce for a lot of things. And I also do it in small jars to make sure none of it goes bad in the fridge when we're opening them, since there's only 2 of us. And we use it a lot for things like crock-pot barbecue meatballs when we're going to friends' houses for like watching drifting or just hanging out with friends for different little events and parties that we do. We have a whole bunch of hot sauce here, hot habanero and hotter habanero. This is all habanero hot sauce and habanada. It's kind of all mixed together. There were chilies in it too. That's all for Taylor, and I'll probably be giving some of that away as gifts to friends that like hot sauce. I have a whole bunch of sweet chili sauce for when we make egg rolls or crab rangoons, things like that. Pineapple salsa. This is so freaking delicious. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Big fan of that. I love having this when we have pork tacos, like pulled pork tacos. We'll do like I'll cook the pork in peach salsa and then we'll have this on the side. Salsa verde. I use this in guacamole and in making Taylor like breakfast burrito mix and things like that. I have beef broth. I canned this with you guys a few weeks ago. Before we move on to the next shelf, I do want to mention the stacking of jars. I think they recently came out like in the last year saying that it's okay to stack jars. I still try not to if I don't have to, and if I do, I will only stack my smallest 2 sets of jars. The thought is that it can create a false seal if these come unsealed. I've never had that issue, but I still only stack the jars because these are lighter. They're not going to be like pressing down as much as the big jars stacked on top of each other would be. So I only stack these 2 size of jars. I won't do the bigger ones. Okay, up there we have maple syrup, all sorts of maple syrup. And we canned that together recently in a video as well. We use that for all sorts of things: caramel corn, coffee every day, breakfast foods, all of the things. Sweeteners and baked goods. This is apple cider from last year. It's canned, so it's technically apple juice now, but it's not filtered, so I like to use this for mulled cider or when I'm using it in baked goods like apple cider donuts or anything like that. This is all chicken broth. Different sizes because I use different sizes for certain things. A whole bunch of corn. I didn't plan to do corn this year, but we got a good deal on it at the salvage store. These are local peaches from our farm store that we like to get tomatoes and peaches from. Some of our tomatoes were homegrown, some were from that store. These are all from the farm store though. These are all banana peppers that we grew. Taylor loves pickled banana peppers on his pizza. So I did a bunch of jars of this, and his dad actually likes them too, so we're going to be giving them a couple of jars of those for part of their Christmas present. Corn cob jelly. My friends are obsessed with this, so honestly I send it to them and give it to them when they visit more than eating it myself. I do like it. It tastes kind of like honey, but they love it. So I made another batch this year. These are all of my bread and butter pickles. You guys, I am obsessed with bread and butter pickles. I really, really, really like them. This looks like a lot, but I have to ration this because I wanted to do 2 years worth. And so this provides me 1 per month. There have been a few times already that I've wished that I did more of these, but I was pickled out by the time I was done canning these. There's a lot of jars. It's a lot. Even though it's not enough, it's a lot. This is onion fig jam. There are just a handful of jars here. This is one of those things that I will make for a specific meal. We usually have this when we have pulled barbecue burgers, like barbecue pulled pork sandwiches with a red cabbage slaw and this on top. It's so good. And then we have a few different things in here. Cherry limeade that I made with you guys. This is a concentrate, so that gets mixed with water and ice, and it's just like, you know, cherry limeade. Maraschino cherries, these are knockoff maraschino cherries. They're basically just canned in a syrup, and then I added almond extract to them. They taste really good, and the syrup makes really good special drinks. Cherry syrup left over from canning those cherries. A ton of peach syrup left over from canning peaches. Look at this jar. I got a bunch of vintage jars this year, like used from a local friend, and they're really pretty. There's some really cool ones. Sweet pickles. Again, I wish I would have made more of these. I didn't do gherkins. These are like sweet gherkin style. They're cinnamon sweet gherkins with other like cloves and peppercorns. So they're like spiced sweet pickles. I just did them in slices because I didn't have gherkins, and these are just as crisp as the gherkins. I did quite a few jars of those, but I've already eaten a handful of both these and the bread and butter pickles. Okay, over here we have diced green chilies. We put these in so many different things. I was trying to remember all the things we put these in. I can't. They go in breakfast burritos, they go in chilies, and they go in other things that I still can't remember, but I have them when I need them in the moment. All right, the last shelf down here is more diced green chilies. I did as many of those as I could. All of those are homegrown. Dill pickles. We use these in smaller amounts just on burgers and whatnot. We don't really snack on dill pickles. We did a ton of dill relish. I didn't mean to do this much, but it just happened. The last thing on the shelf down here is Taylor's spicy dill pickles. So he requested spicy dill pickles. That's another reason we did small jars, because we can crack 2 open and use those on burgers and sandwiches and whatnot, and they're not going to go bad because only one of us is eating these. Only Taylor's eating these, and only I am eating these. And then off to the side we have these couple of shelves that are actually my seed starting shelves. So this works well because this stuff will get used up soon before we need them for seed starting. So we have bulk potatoes up here. Some of these we grew, some of them we didn't. Some of them are from the salvage store at this point. Again, with the onions, I need to use some of these up. They're starting to sprout, but this is a mixture of salvage store and homegrown onions. It was loaded with homegrown onions and potatoes earlier this year, but I preserved so much stuff that I used up a lot of the ones that we grew in that process. We have the last of our garlic, which there's still quite a bit. I used tons of this preserving this year too, and we just planted all of our garlic. So there's a bunch that we just used up. We used up about a whole nother basket of this for planting. These are our small potatoes that are all starting to sprout, and we need to get them canned or frozen very soon, like this week, because they're gonna start going bad, and I don't want that to happen. All of those ones are homegrown. We struggle with growing big ones because of our clay still. We have some squashes and pumpkins that we will be using up for Thanksgiving and just in the coming weeks. Some honey nut squash and this acorn squash that needs to get used up, some spaghetti squash. And then we have some more pumpkins down there that become pumpkin pie filling or pumpkin pie for this week. There's some water glass eggs, a gallon of honey, and sweet potatoes. The shelf is all random stuff right now that I honestly just need to take care of. I usually store extra baskets up here. We have some lids that I need to take care of, more lids that I need to take care of in here. I just got a bulk order of canning lids for next year from like the Black Friday sale for 4 jars. I've decided 4 jars lids are my favorite after trying Superb and 4 jars and the ball lids and a few other kinds. These ones have the best seal rate for me. I have distilled water for making soap, some extra jars in this size this has quickly become one of my favorite kinds of jars, this style, the like squat half pint. Big fan. The setup works okay, but our basement is actually the warmest part of the house in the winter. So it's not perfect by any means, but it does the trick for the most part for at least a while before it starts getting too warm and things start sprouting like they just have this week. But this is what we have to work with right now, and we're making it work until we're able to build a true cold room in this area in the future. Over here, I'm not gonna go through all of this because it's just so much stuff. This is where we keep all of our extra food preservation and storage supplies. I have extra bulk buckets of flour and wheat berries and oats and just all of those things down here. I do have them upstairs as well. I keep all of my canning lids hanging on bungee cords on these shelves. We have some of our extra food storage down here, like dry goods. We have tomato paste from the salvage store and Azure coconut milk. I buy it in like 12 packs. This is a gallon of molasses. So things I'm not using on a daily basis. Things that I pull from often are like my canners and crock pots. We have more jars up here. One of our subscribers, Rachel, just sent us this new roaster oven, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for that because I'll actually be able to use this for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be able to make broth with it after Thanksgiving from our turkey because she sent this and our other one was toast. So thank you for that because that's gonna make a huge difference for Thanksgiving for me. Vacuum sealer, just all sorts of stuff. All of our brewing supplies and the mead and cider we've made and bottled are on these shelves. It's a lot. We have all of our extra spices in these totes. So I buy them in bulk because it's way cheaper to do that than buying the tiny bottles, and I refill our small bottles upstairs from these. I just keep these all in a couple totes down here. I really like doing food preservation and storage this way. It's all downstairs. I run downstairs multiple times a day, especially when we're in canning season, but it's a little extra exercise for me, and honestly, it's really nice to have it all organized and out of the way. It's not in our main kitchen. It takes up a huge space in our basement, but it's worth it because upstairs feels organized and down here feels organized, and it's just easy to come and grab something when I need it. Because if I felt like I was tripping over canning things and like preserving supplies upstairs while I was trying to cook regular meals on a daily basis, that would drive me insane. I couldn't handle that. I've done that before. That's why we have this now, because it's just too much. It's too overwhelming. We rely very heavily on our fridges and freezers down here, especially the freezers. Especially now that we have a generator. I am not into canning for doomsday or whatever you want to call it. I really want to preserve things in a way that makes us want to come pull them out of storage and eat them. So I really try to keep flavors and specifically textures in mind when I'm preserving things. I want to eat this food. I don't want to be like, ew, I have to eat canned peas. So for example, we freeze a lot of peppers. It's the simplest way for me to preserve them, and the texture ends up being the best compared to like trying to can peppers. If I'm not putting them in chili or soup or something, I don't want them to be mushy, and in my experience, just dicing and then bagging up peppers is the best texture result for like breakfast hash or just anything else that you want to use them in that you don't want them completely mushy. And that's why I don't can green beans or peas, because Taylor doesn't like canned green beans or peas, so why would I preserve them that way if he's not going to be excited to eat them that way? They're just going to go to waste. So I might as well use the freezers and preserve them in a way that he will enjoy eating them. Okay, so we technically have 4 freezers down here, but 2 of them are on fridge mode. So the ones with writing on them, this one and the tall one, those are freezer mode. We have a kegerator. Taylor turned this into a kegerator so that we're able to carbonate and bottle and share our hard cider that we made with friends, and we want to be able to share the love. And also it's really fun to just be able to come here and fill up your cup too. So he made this one into a kegerator where we have our 5 gallons carbonated. This is going to last us like a long time. And then we are doing 1 gallons one at a time. So there's a 1 gallon batch down there and we're bottling those 1 gallons up. I'm not perfect at this, but I do try and keep some sort of list of what's in these freezers and then just mark it off as we go, like easily erase it. I gotta write that back on there. I'm gonna forget. Just use a dry erase marker. It makes making a grocery list way faster. We're gonna try and rapid fire through these so that we don't let all the cold air out. We have green beans from last year. We have salvage store peas and lima beans in there. These are from the salvage store. They're potato patties. Taylor likes those in his breakfast burritos. They're like the 5-pound bag for $5 usually. A whole bunch of coffee and extra baking yeast in here. We have our couple hundred jalapeno poppers. Again, 2 years worth. Hopefully it might actually last more than that. We have edamame that we grew. Edamame from the salvage store. I told you guys, we're not perfect. I obviously am going to take advantage of salvage store things. Beets that I use to make beet burgers, which are delicious. We have more individually bagged green beans that we grew, carrots that we grew. We have 1 bag of leeks left that we grew. More green beans we grew. These are banana peppers sliced. I use those in a lot of Taylor's lunches and whatnot because they're a little too spicy for me. These are hot bananas. Those are from last year. I keep all of our actual meat in this freezer, and Taylor's veggie meats I keep in the other freezer so we don't get them confused. This is all grounds, so it's ground pork. It's ground pork and ground beef. Some of it's from Wild Pastures. That's like an online thing that I get packages from sometimes. Some of it's from the neighbors. And yeah, we have ground pork and ground beef. Some of it's from the salvage store. I have homemade yogurt in here. This is homemade sheep's milk ricotta that I made from, or like farmer's cheese that I made from Sage's sheep's milk. We have some bulk bags of shredded cheddar from the salvage store. This is all a bunch of packaged up chicken. Some of it's from our neighbors, some of it's from the salvage store. The salvage store does like 40-pound boxes of whole chickens sometimes for $10. And so I just get them and then I package them up separately. I break them down, kind of like Butcher Day. They usually have like 12 chickens in there. I have a whole bunch of salami logs that I need to get the meat slicer out and process and package. These are $4 for these giant things of salami. Some fish. This is turkey, frozen turkey. And then down here we have all of our various one-off cuts of meat. So some of these are from the salvage store, like this bacon and this pork loin. This is from Wild Pastures. We have beef bacon. All my bacon is in here. We have quite the array. It's really funny to have bacon from the salvage store, bacon from like high quality online, and then I have homemade bacon from our neighbors as well, from Meg and Ben. I also have a whole bunch of ground venison and venison roasts in here from my friend who gave me a whole bunch last year, and I love having this on hand. Venison is one of my favorite meats. We have a couple whole chickens in here. Again, one is from the salvage store, one is from our neighbors from helping them butcher, and then we have some sausage and whatnot too. Pesto from all of the basil we grew this year. I made all of that myself. Some barbecue sauce from jars that didn't seal. These lids I was having a hard time with. These are one-off things that have been frozen and need to get used up. So I always keep a couple of containers of chicken noodle soup down here for when I'm sick so Taylor doesn't have to make me soup. And also I don't like home canned chicken noodle soup, so I like it the frozen. It's easy just to toss it in a pot on low and let it melt. This is chimichurri sauce that we'll use up with steak. This is Sloppy Joe mix. I made too much one time, and sausage gravy. This happens a lot because I have to make 2 versions of things usually, and it's too much for me to eat. So this is my Sloppy Joe mix that I couldn't finish because it was too much for me, and my sausage gravy too much for just me. We have a bunch of discount buns from the store. Taylor likes to use these for lunch. He'll randomly have like hot dogs or some sort of burger or sandwich for lunch on weekends because I don't plan weekend lunches. We just do leftovers or whatever's in the freezer. So he likes to buy these discount buns for that. Then we have homemade ice cream, salvage store ice cream. They sell Ben & Jerry's for $1 a pint, and I can't pass that up. We love Ben & Jerry's. All of my butter. I need to get more. I'm going to use a bunch of this for the holidays. We go through a lot of butter. Then we have cheese that I sliced on our meat slicer, on our deli slicer from the salvage store. We got a huge brick of it, and I cut that all up. And this is the same with like the deli turkey. We got a huge loaf of it from the salvage store, and I just pull that out and thaw it for lunches when I want sandwiches. Okay, this freezer, we have more bulk things since they're harder to dig out of the chest freezer than accessing them in the stand-up freezer. We have jalapenos in like individual packages. We have salvage store meatballs for Taylor. I have a couple packages of those in here. Salvage store ravioli. We have some sun-dried tomatoes that need to be sun-dried, and some one-off things in here like garlic scapes that we need to finish using up. We have jackfruit that I froze into portions. We use that as a meat replacement for like barbecue stuff for Taylor. Got some plantains at the salvage store. Cut them up to make tostones. Veggie meats, leftover things, hot dogs. Those are all veggie meats. These are veggie barbecue ribs, veggie chicken breasts. Those are all homemade. Okay, and then once you get down into here, we have a bunch of gallons of fruit ready to be used in smoothies or whatever we want to use them for. So I use lots of strawberries in smoothies throughout the year. So I have like, these are like stacked 5 deep. Blueberries and blackberries stacked under here. This is stacked to the bottom, corn on the cob that we will just thaw out and roast in the oven for a little bit. Some lasagna, like homemade meals that we can just pop into the oven. Tomatoes, the one bag of tomatoes I forgot was in here. It needs to get used up. I'll probably make more ketchup with this. Banana peppers down there. Shishitos. A couple bags of those for stir fries. We have seasoning peppers and piquino peppers. Those I still need to process. I just haven't had a chance to get to those yet. We'll do those this winter. And then bells and Cubanelles. We have lots of bags of those. These are some 1-pound packages of strawberries. These are all homegrown. More lasagna. This is my lasagna. Ice packs. Our ice cream maker bowl thing I keep in here so it's not in the way upstairs. And then I know these aren't healthy for you, but they're a necessity in the 110-degree heat in the summer here. Okay, so this shelf is everything, for the most part, left from last year that needs to get used up still. I really try to keep our canned goods separate from year to year on the different shelves just so I know what needs to get used up first and I don't have to rotate it out as much. It's handy to just know that everything on this shelf needs to get used before I use the same things from downstairs. Some of these things I didn't do this year, like some of the fruits. We didn't do any apples this year because we had so many left over still. I have tomato soup and pizza sauce downstairs that I will probably rotate up here once I go through the rest of these. These are diced tomatoes. We have canned strawberries. We use these in oatmeals and other baked goods, muffins, that kind of thing, just like all of our other fruits. This is tomato soup. I have pretty much nailed the flavor of homemade Campbell's tomato soup. We have turkey broth. I don't have it labeled, but I know that one's turkey broth. I have a couple chicken broths up here. The beans I made with you guys last week, the baked beans and the refried beans. The only reason those are up here is because I didn't have any room left on the shelves downstairs. Those things are packed full, so there are some things that I have to have up here because of space, but I don't have any more of those downstairs and I don't have any from last year, so it doesn't really matter if they're up here. All of this is Sloppy Joe sauce, pizza sauce like I already showed you. We have some plain tomato salsa. I think this is peach salsa. The last jar of last year's barbecue sauce. More peach salsa, peach hot sauces. We have some peaches up here that need to get used up still. Apple pie filling, and then diced apple pie filling. Taylor likes to use this in oatmeal and yogurt. Just fun to switch up the texture of it sometimes. Applesauce, pear sauce. These are dusty. They need to get used up. The last little bit of corn. I have squash. I need to figure out more ways to use this. I don't really love having it canned, to be completely honest. I'd rather have it pureed and frozen or just stored on my shelves. Some chickpeas. This is pho broth. We have a few jars left of apple butter, tomato jam. This is like sweet and sour sauce almost. I like using it in like Asian dishes, sweet and sour chicken, things like that. Strawberry syrup. That's from this year as well. And we have some strawberry jam. This is actually a bunch of strawberry and dewberry jam from our homegrown dewberries out on the property. Then we have a bunch of cherry and peach syrup from leftovers from canning those fruits last year. Some cherries and blackberries, and I believe, yeah, this is a jar of blueberries. This is cranberry sauce. We only really use this in the holiday season, so I've had this for a couple of years already. It needs to get used up. I'll probably use the rest of this year. Some cranberry juice and cranberries in water, whatever you want to call it. And then we have some vegetarian and chicken ramen broth. We're almost out of that. Okay, and this shelf over here is probably one of my favorite parts. It's all of our dry goods in jars. My ADHD brain loves this because I can see all of it. It helps me, having things in jars like this helps me use it better. I can use it more efficiently and remember that I have it because I can see it, and I feel like that helps us not to waste anything. So it's pretty random, I would say, but we have some empty bigger jars up there, some pasta, tea, this is Thai tea, a whole bunch of beans and lentils on this shelf, Vital wheat gluten. I only buy regular all-purpose like organic flour from Azure, and then if I need to make bread flour for like sandwich bread or like certain things call for bread flour specifically, I just use the Vital wheat gluten to do that. And also making homemade vegetarian substitutes for like meat products, that takes a lot of Vital wheat gluten, so I usually buy that in at least 5-pound packages at a time. We're running low right now. I need to order more from our Azure next month. That's pickling lime for water glassing eggs. We have some spillage over from the canning shelf. We have homemade apple pie moonshine and dill relish that needs to get used up. This is all of our grain things. So I have masa, bulgur wheat, oats, orzo, cornmeal. I guess this is pasta technically. Some semolina flour, barley, brown rice, quinoa, and our popcorns. These are popcorns we grew. This next shelf is a lot of nuts and random things. So we have pecans, almonds for snacking and baking, and granola and whatnot, walnuts, coconut, steel cut oats because I make 2 different kinds of oatmeals, pepitas, Brazil nuts, I eat those every day. This is nutritional yeast. I have a couple jars of that. Cocoa and regular almonds. And then this bottom shelf is small jars of things, mostly that I use for preserving. So we have like bulk dill seed, celery seed, sesame seeds, poppy seeds, cardamom seeds, dried beans, Thai basil from our garden, cloves, mustard seeds. This is freeze-dried cheese powder for making homemade mac and cheese, like Kraft mac and cheese. Other dried beans that I'm saving for seed, and peppers, cinnamon sticks, chia seeds, hard white wheat for my fresh milled flour sourdough. I've been using that a lot lately and really enjoying it, making crackers and also just actual bread out of it. And then tapioca starch, which I use as my cornstarch for thickening things. I use that a lot. I also need to order more of this. Okay, and you can see down here we have some buckets. I like to keep our bulk staples in those. And I'm gonna open them up and show you what's in them. We have two 25-pound bags of Redmond real salt in here. Really like keeping things in buckets like this, and I just use the easy snap-on lids because the Gamma lids are expensive, so we don't have very many of those. These work fine. We just cycle through them quickly enough that nothing goes bad. But I've got jasmine rice in here. I really like doing it this way because I can just bring a measuring cup over here and quickly scoop what I need into whatever bowl or container I'm using. This is all-purpose flour, a bucket of all-purpose flour and sugar over by our table, like underneath our table that I use kind of as our kitchen island to make it even easier because then I don't have to walk over here. We have a couple of bulk pastas. So this is ditalini, I don't know how to say it. They're cute, tiny, they're like SpaghettiOs. We have tricolor rotini. And then I'm planning to get one more that's like a shell. I think it's called like Lumache or something like that from Lumache from Azure this month. And we'll keep another bucket of that up here. So we have all of our bases covered as far as semolina pasta goes. I don't really like to keep bulk long pastas like spaghetti or fettuccine too much because I prefer to make those homemade like in the moment when I'm making dinner. The last bucket over here I'm not going to open up. This is the last 5-gallon bucket of our homemade apple scrap vinegar from 2 years ago. So yeah, we've come a long way in just a few years of building all of this up, but it's starting to feel very functional, and honestly, I love seeing all these jars, and it feels so nice to know that I can just grab something off these shelves when I need it. So it's not perfect. It's definitely not all homegrown. And I mean, this turns into a literal lake every time it rains, and it's not the ideal temperature, but it still functions for us just the same. You don't need to start with a huge garden. You don't need to start with a full-on root cellar construction project. You can start with what you've got, and yeah, it'll eventually grow and grow and grow, and even the little bit that you start with is gonna feel really good. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.